Now I'm going to start on some lilacs here, and I'm using my scruffy plaid one stroke Donna Dewberry brush, and this is the 3/4 inch, and I'm using Perfect Purple. Now this is a little bit lighter purple, a different tone than the ones I used in the other two terracotta painting posts tutorials, and just because this is a black background and I want there to be a glow from behind, I don't want it to be darker behind, so I'm just going to tap in very lightly some shapes of lilacs. I don't want it opaque. In fact, I got a little too thick right there, more than I wanted, but we're going to just do the shape. And I'm not going to do a lot on the other side of this one just because there's already some over there from the other, and I just want it to be lightly tapped in. And then this last one. And it kind of goes over. Those were just chalk lines. Ollie will include a pattern so you can have something to transfer on with transfer paper if you like. Let me get this brush cleaned. Now I did get this a little too thick, so I'm just going to take a paper towel and I'm just going to lift out some of that color. And I'll just switch to another. If you need to dampen your paper towel, that works too. But as you see, I'm just lifting out some of the color there. And now it's kind of too dry. So you can just lift it all out if you want and redo it. But I can put a little more back in there as I want. And that's really how you can lift out color if you need to make a correction, which I often do. So that's why I show you how to do it. Now we're going to start the petals on the lilacs. And I'm going to use a number 6 plaid one stroke flat brush. And I'm just going to double load one corner in the eggplant and the other corner in the lavender. And I'm just going to stroke back and forth. And as I said in the last tutorial, the color that you drag last, so that would be the eggplant on this, is going to be the most predominant color. And I'm going to make a chisel edged stroke, one teardrop stroke right there. And then I'm going to reload, and then I'm going to do a couple more further down. And these are, I'm going to try to keep these airy. And then I'm going to start making entire blossoms or partial blossoms. That's 3. So this one is another one with 3, and then I'm going to make one in the middle. Whoops. And you see how I've left that more loose and airy there. I want that to be open. So then I keep double loading. Now if I want to lighten it up, I'll just switch my brush over. I also have light lavender on my palette. And I just keep making these little 5-petal flowers. Some are finished, some are unfinished. By unfinished, I mean I do like 3 of the petals and leave the bottom blank. And then I'll come back over it with the next layer. Now we're going for an effect, not realism. So just keep making your 5-petal flowers. And I'm kind of going out at an angle, like a triangular angle. I don't want to go too wide, but just giving it some shape. Now this is coming down this way. I got to remember that it's curving. And you can put in 2 petals here and there, a single petal, And as paint loads up into your brush, it will make the petals a little bit fatter. And as you go down, that's good. Up here you do want them narrower. Try to keep them delicate and light. Now over here, it's going to mesh with this one. Now I may make this one the lightest purple, but do this one with the dark being predominant color, and then that one will draw this one forward. Or I should say the lighter color will bring it forward. Now you do want some of these petals to be out here so that you can kind of see them underneath this one when we go to do it. Remember, I'm leading with the light color and following with the eggplant, the darker purple, for this. If you wanted to mix it up a little bit, you could. Sometimes you can put like a little bit of green in there. But lilacs, at least the ones around here, are pretty thick. You don't see the stem much. Now you can use a variety of purples for these. It doesn't have to be these particular purples that I have. And since I did not mention it already, I'm using the Plaid Folk Art multi-surface paints for this. Oh, looks like I got that wet. Now I'm liking how that one has turned out. And if I want to add a little width at the base, I can. So I'm going to let that be for now. I'm going to let it dry. I'm going to go ahead and paint this one, and it's also going to be in the darker. Now I rinsed my brush, so there's not a lot of paint gummed up in it. So these I can keep narrower, and then as I come down loading paint, they will get fatter. Also, you can just make them fatter. Oops, wrong color. Just by pressing harder when you wish. And if you don't want to load up more light purple or lavender, the lavender color, it's not light lavender, it's just lavender, then you don't have to, then it makes them even darker. But because this is a dark background, the lighter purples do show up better. Keep in mind, I need to look at it from a right angle, the direction you're going and how you want it to look. Have in mind, if it helps, draw yourself a stem so you can follow the stem, which is probably not a bad idea. I'll just dot some down there. And then you kind of know where to aim your petals. You can be faster and looser than I am. And it gets a little messy that way, but that's okay. We all have our own style. And you layer these flowers on here. I may speed this part up for you so you're not bored to death watching me layer petals. Now if you feel like it's too light, it's very easy to go back over with just the darker purple. And you can see how gummed up my brush is getting with paint. If it gets too gummed up and I feel like I'm making too fat of strokes, I just rinse out my brush. Wrong side. If you get the paint on the wrong side, just wipe it out. You don't have to rinse it. Wipe it off and reload. I'm getting a little messier here just because I'm in a hurry. I'm going to look at it, and I like how that is. I think it needs a little width right there. Okay, so now I'm going to rinse out my brush, and I'm going to come back in, and I'm going to load with just the light lavender and the lavender. And then I blend it on my palette. You see, I dip each corner in each color, and then I'm going to let the light be the trailing color. And I step back and I look, and this one needs to come over that one a little bit more. So I just add a few strokes of petals. And this one down here at the bottom needs to go over it more too. Alright, I like how that one's even more airy. You see a lot of the black through it. And that's fine. And you see some of the underneath darker purple. So there we have our lilacs. Now, so you can dot in some fake centers if you want. Mostly when you look at many of the lilacs, you don't see a center in the flowers. But like on this lighter one, I'll go in with the eggplant color and put some little dots to indicate centers. Not on all of them, just on some. If you had to dot all of them, you'd go batty. Now I want to add some tulips, I think, just because it's just kind of bland with just the lilacs. Or you could do some white lilacs in the background or add some in, but I think I want to try some tulips. Or you can add, excuse me, or you can just add some leaves and greenery and call it done. And I'm just looking. I think this lilac needs a little bit more across the bottom over there. Step back, look at your lilac and see what's missing. And bring it down over the pot a little. I think I am going to add some tulips. They're going to be mostly white with a little bit of edging of maybe one of the lavenders. I don't want them to be the star of the show. I want them to kind of be in the background or as a complement to the lilacs. So because this is the black, I'm going to kind of paint in a bit of white to lighten that area so they can be brighter than just what they would be if I painted the color over the black. Black just kind of sucks up all the light. Okay, so here is some basic shapes for tulips, and I'm going to let that dry. This one is a little more egg-shaped, this one's a little more open. And like I said, we're going to let that dry. I need to add more green. While that's drying, I will come in and add the greens, green leaves. Now what brush am I grabbing? I'm now grabbing a number 10 flat. And I'm trying to decide what kind of leaves I want. I don't always go for the realistic of what's on the palette or what I'm painting. I'm not going to put big fat tulip leaves in that I know of yet. Sometimes I change my mind, but I'm double loading my number 10 flat with the citrus green and the thicket. And I think I want small little slider leaves coming up from this stem. Kind of, you can overlap the lilac a little bit, and maybe have over here, and I'm not sure you can see that, I'll do it just the opposite. I'll do it downwards and have them be a little bit darker. That one I didn't finish. These are just the slider leaves, and it's just press, slide, and lift to a point. And sometimes I kind of twist my brush. Just needs a lot of green to balance it out, and I just loaded my brush wrong, but it's blending well. And you can come in and bring little stems in and look at your work, see how you need to balance it out. I think it needs some leaves up here. Now if you wanted these to be more transparent, to give them a lighter, airier look, you can add a blending medium or gel, or water down the paint a little bit. If you water down the paint, you can lift the underneath paint a little bit if you're not careful with this. But the blending medium, not blending medium, the floating medium, you have to be careful with too. It will lift, but it does work well for making the leaves more transparent. So I'm not sure, I'll just make a leaf kind of dropping down there. And I'm not sure up here if I want any. I can put some up in there to balance it out, but I'm going to wait, look at it, and see what I think it may need. Well, to tell you the truth, I have done a couple tulips and totally obliterated them. So I don't know what's going on, it's just not flowing today. So this one I have scrubbed off. And now I'm going to come back in and we'll try this again. Now I'm going to do this. I didn't like them in the purple. They just didn't go well with, they weren't a good contrast, I should say, with the lilac. So I have my white and I have some sunflower yellow. I probably need a bigger brush than a 10. I will get my 12 if I have one here. I do. I have a 12 right here. This is a 12 flat, and it is also in the combo pack that I link to frequently. Now, I should undercoat with the white, but I'm not going to. The black will make the white seem a little dull, and the yellow, but there's a back petal here, and I will include a pattern for this, and I'm going to just put in that back petal. And this is a front petal here. And you see how the black shows through? Now, if I was really going to fuss about this, I would undercoat with white first. Now I'm going to come along here with the yellow and the white on my number 12, and I'm going to follow the outline of that outer edge. And I'm having the yellow go along the outer edge. I'll just kind of fill in where I missed. I can see where that inner petal is going to be. And then I'm going to follow along on this edge. I think part of it was still slightly wet, and that's why. Now I want this edge here, this edge along here, to be the white, not the yellow. And I'm going to let that dry. I may come in a little bit and add a bit more white, right along here, so it's very bright, because that inner petal, or the front petal, is going to be edged with yellow along there, and I want it to have a striking contrast. And I should, and I will. I'll let that dry and I'll go over it again, because it really needs another coat to be opaque. Now if I had undercoated with the white, this wouldn't be a problem. And you see this purple over here, I'm really going to have to, if I'm going to do that with white and yellow, I'm going to have to undercoat it and cover up the purple. I'm going to take my time and just do this. Now, why am I showing you my mistake? Well, we all make them, and I'm just showing you that it just takes a few tricks to fix them. Alrighty, back to doing this tulip. Now I did one coat of the yellow along the outside, or the white with the yellow along the outside. I see my white is gone, so I need to add some more to my palette. Hopefully I was gone for a little bit, so hopefully the yellow is not too dried out. Let me test it. It's a little thick, but I think it'll work. So I'm double loading my brush with the yellow and the white. It might need a little touch, just a dot of water to make it flow easy. Also, you could use floating medium. Paint got a little dried, it's a warm day. So I'm going to go back over it carefully. Sorry, there's a gnat. And let me angle the camera this way a little bit for you. And I'm going to go up, follow the outline. I have that hint of yellow up, and I'm just going to come down partially, because this part I want to stay white. That's where the inner petal is going to go. I probably told you that already, but I'll repeat it because I can't remember now. And I'm double loading my brush. This stroke, this is a back petal, so I'm going over it because that yellow needs to be a little more opaque. And I just loaded with yellow because I got plenty of white on my brush. And I'm just making that outside edge with the paint. Now I'm going to, I want this to be a little more white here, not quite so yellow. I want just the outside edge to be the yellow. There. Now I'm going to get some more white and yellow on my brush, double loaded, and I'm going to need to look at my practice piece to make sure I'm going about that. I think pretty much, yes I am. I'm going to go up here, and I'm going to be below that other one, below that. That's the back petal, and this is the front petal, and then I'm going to come up there. And you see, that's why I wanted the yellow on the white. I wanted that petal to show. Now the yellow here still isn't opaque. Yellow is really a tough color, but I'm going to leave it like it is because the tulips are not the focal point. The lilacs are, so we won't worry about the tulips being perfect. If you are more worried about the tulips being just a certain way, you're certainly welcome to go back in and make sure that those are the way you want them. I'm just adding a little stem there. There was already a stem over here, but that's okay. It's going to blend in. And this white part right here, I'm going to go back over it with black to fix it and not worry about that anymore. That's just the way I'm going to fix it. And I'm going to do this tulip a little bit differently, and I will show you that in a moment. I totally flopped on this entire video. I had, if you noticed, I'm not sure if I'm going to post the video the way it is, but I'd started out with my microphone on, then it got unplugged, so the sound is only coming from my camera microphone. So I'm going to have to see how that's going to turn out. I may end up redoing this. Well, I'm working on this tulip, and I have my brush double loaded again with the yellows, and I'm going to I'm going to do this petal here as a kind of behind petal, and I'm going to have these come up. I'm just stroking up. I'm running out of paint and it's dragging a lot. Let me get some floating medium so I can get this to flow. That was a little more than I wanted, but we'll go with it. Okay, now I'm going to go up here to a point and then slide back down. Now that didn't cover as well as I wanted, so I'm going to bring it back up. And that might be easier than the up and down for you anyways. So I'm going to do the same here. I'm going to kind of go up at an angle, come up to the top, and then I can go down or I can come up from this direction. And you see how it's different than this one. This one has a full petal in front, and this has two opening with a back petal. Now, this one has pretty much dried, and I would like that center to be a little more opaque. So I'm going to kind of, so it's still a little wet, so it's pulling up a little bit. And I can go over the yellow just a little bit. For that. So there you have your two tulips. It needs the stem needs to be a little bit thicker. Tulip stems are fairly thick. Sometimes they have a little bit of green on the bottom. And I need to fix these leaves from when I corrected that one. And I'll show you how I just take black and I make sure my brush is not too wet. And I'm going to come in with just some on my tip. And I'm just going to, now you have to make sure you use the same black that you did your background in, or this is going to kind of show up. Black on black is really kind of odd. I'll wait and see how that works. And you see I've got kind of a little funky edge there. I can straighten it up. Do a little negative painting here. And I think that's good. Now I'll step back and I have lilacs and tulips. I'm not sure if I should put some little greening in there or not, but we can probably could put a little bit right between. I'm just double loading my brush like right there, just to give it a little bit of greenery. So it's going behind the tulip and coming up there. And you can decide on that, what you want to do there. But that is how you paint a terracotta pot with lilacs and tulips.